Hello, friends. Is anybody there? It says there's 26 participants. People are filing in now.
Where does
we
it
have
say
20
that?
My interface is nothing
Yeah,
like your interface.
30
I have no idea.
33. I see 34. Yeah,
It's
Oh,
the
okay,
neural
I see
implants
it
that
now.
are
I see
telling
it now.
me. Okay, all right.
Down at the
Just
bottom.
click around until it
Wave.
opens.
Welcome to pre-show banter. This is where you get to realize we actually have no idea what we're doing. But hey, we're excited that you're here. We've got some fun stuff to share with you. We're up to 45 people now. People are coming in. The actual show itself is going to start in about 6 minutes. In the meantime, while you're waiting for that, you can reflect on how great Evan looks in that hat. Or how wonderful it is that Tomlinson isn't eating right now.
These are all good
Hey,
things.
you started it.
I did. That's right. Oh boy. So, and look at LG. He looks serious.
Stoic even.
Oh yes. And then
This
of
is
course
a
Jared is
momentous
joined by his doppelgangers behind him, his
Yes.
glorious doppelgangers.
Elf the dwarf.
Yes.
When I see Chris Elgie, my mind just superimposes a waving American flag in the background.
Oh yeah. Oh
Can
yeah.
we do that? I mean, you got that screen behind you. Could you get that going for us, Chris?
A waving one? That sounds like effort.
Okay.
The participant has enabled closed captioning. Well, that's good.
Oh, cool. We
Who
should
can
test
see?
that.
I forget
Trying
what
to
my
think of
wife
some good
and I were watching
homonyms for
something.
closed caption testing.
My wife and I were watching something the other day that had closed captioning, and it was probably machine generated by a very inept algorithm. It was wrong for almost everything it said. It was like bad lip reading.
That's
kind of
Chat
thing, but
DDT.
yeah.
That's the version that doesn't do a really good job on things.
Yeah.
Internet connected toaster doing the work.
Yeah.
So we got about 5 minutes, and I believe we are recording. It says
I got a little flashy light up in the upper left-hand corner of my screen that says recording. So
yeah, I don't have that either. What am I using?
What are you using?
An actual Zoom client?
Hey, to be fair, I think Tom
You're
Liston's the
using
only
Moose.
person to see that
M-O-O-Z.
flashing light.
I downloaded this thing. Zume, right?
Zoom. Yeah, that's right. That worked. Move.
It was a
M-O-O-Z.
Microsoft portable music player, I think.
Yes.
Remember Zoom? Oh yeah.
Zoom.
Am I the only person who liked that device? Like I don't know.
Yes.
The interface was nice.
I don't think you are.
I even like the brown one. So
Wow. Yes.
I think it had Wi-Fi, right? Long before any Apple players.
it was an innovative device. That's all.
I remember you could share a song
It was
for one
so
play.
innovative. It was innovative.
I thought you were gonna reach for one. It's like, oh, Tom Liston had one.
Yes. Yeah.
Man,
I think I
got our first question.
Hey, we have a
Ooh,
question.
look at this. Do we get extra credit? Hey, Mary Ellen's here. How awesome is that? Do we get extra credit for decoding, analyzing Professor Cordy Bites? I like that. Real voice and audacity. Keep talking, Tom, so I can confirm LOL. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea what she's talking about.
I don't either. You and your fancy voice analysis. It's Cordy Petabyte, but that's okay. I kind of like the portmanteau of Cordy Petabyte into Cordy Byte. Cordy Byte. That's his new nickname. You got to tell him that, Tom.
I will. I'll let him know.
Well, especially if I'd like to hear Cordy do a presentation while eating. I think that would be really like a combo there.
Yeah.
If Cordy had a kid, would it be a Cordy Kilobyte or?
Yeah. Megabyte. I mean, there's a lot of room on the way down.
Kilobyte.
It's probably not a thread we need to tug on. A for effort.
Hey, Jai's here. Yay. And Javier is here. This is all good. Yay. Okay, so got about 2 minutes, I think, and we'll start on time. I have no idea whether we'll end on time, but we could certainly start on time, right?
Yes.
What did you click on in the chat things, Ed? Because it says Ed Scotus would like to answer this question live.
Oh, I just clicked that I answered live because I kind of acknowledged them, but I didn't click done. No, I did done.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Oh, there they went away. All right, okay.
Yay. So good thing is this is all being recorded.
Yeah.
So am I giving you like a moire pattern on my shirt? Is it? Can you see?
No.
I gotta try
No.
harder.
Yeah, just a bit.
Oh, just a little. Okay.
No.
So, hey, Crahan's here. That's good. R. Johnson is here. Oh my goodness, all kinds of people are over in Discord. By the way, we're going to use the Q&A thing inside of Zoom, but also some people want to do more chat, and we created a channel for this some time ago in the Holiday Hack Discord for the closing ceremonies. So we'll see you there. Ooh, let me make sure I turn off my hello, Evist Tech and Busy R. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my chimes here so that we don't get Big Ben at the top of the hour.
You have a big red button to do that? It's just
Well, it's a little thing on my dock.
okay.
We have observed many times in our local team meetings how important and impressive it is that Evan has a blowtorch at the ready should he need it. If you look immediately behind Evan.
Is this an uncommon thing? Like it's such a handy tool.
Office blowtorch.
Yes,
I
many
use
people
it all the time.
Many people have fire extinguishers. Evan's quite
I
the
got those too.
contrarian.
Those
I
are
hope
further
so.
away.
All right, I
Chicken,
think it
egg
is
scenario.
time for us to begin. Are you guys ready? Are you folks ready?
Sure, let's do it.
So we do this.
Great.
All right. So the recording is running as far as we can tell. I am Ed Scotus. I'm the director of the SANS Holiday Hack Project, Holiday Hack Challenge Project. I am joined by some wonderful folks here that helped put this thing together. I'd like to welcome everyone to our closing ceremony. We have over 100 people joining us here. We're super excited to share this with you. This will be the closeout of the 2022 SANS Holiday Hack Challenge. As you all probably know by now, our theme this year was 5 golden rings. The golden rings went missing. You have to help retrieve them. So I'll be doing the start of the presentation. We're also going to have Chris Elgie do a section of the presentation. Tom Liston will. So will Jared Folkens, Evan Booth, and then we'll announce all the winners. But we'd like to give you a behind-the-scenes look at Holiday Hack Challenge. So I'm going to do the intros and storyline. I'm going to hand it off to Chris, who will talk about the challenges. Then Tom Liston's going to talk about the in-game economy. Jared will discuss the infrastructure and various CI/CD things. Wizardry and other stats will be covered by Evan. Then we'll do winning entries. I'll cover that part. And conclusions with a shameless tease will be me. All right. So first of all, thank you to our sponsors, the SANS Institute. They are the ones that make all of this possible. That's why we call it the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge. They funded all the development. They funded the operations team. They gave us amazing marketing support and artistic support, putting together all the swag and such. It was just tremendous. They also provided the grand prize and several of the other prizes as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you to the SANS Institute. We love being a part of the SANS family and are honored that SANS trusts us to build this Holiday Hack Challenge for you all. Also, we'd like to thank Google. Google helped to underwrite the hosting services on the Google Cloud platform, and we're super thankful for them because all of Holiday Hack Challenge was hosted on Google. And we'd like to thank the SANS Technology Institute College. They were one of our sponsors this year. That's at sans.edu, fully accredited higher education institution that does undergraduate degrees, a bachelor's degree, and undergraduate certificates. We actually have a couple of those, and also graduate degrees, master's degrees, and graduate certificates. I also happen to be pretty close with the president of that institution because he's me. Anyway, so thank you to all those great sponsors. And also, thank you to our Kringle concierges. These folks really go that extra mile to make this a successful experience. You know, they're not there as teaching assistants, but they are there to just kind of smooth over people who are brand new, introduced to this Holiday Hack Challenge. They appear in this strange little game and they're like, what is this thing? And it's wonderful that our concierges are there to help people adapt. We're going to send this year's Kringle coin, the physical coin, not the cryptocurrency coin, but the physical coin. We're going to send that to each of these Kringle concierges. You can see on the front, we've got Grincham's hand grasping for that golden ring. I don't know if you noticed, but at the bottom of that ring under Holiday Hack Challenge, you see 4 rings. The reason there's 4 down there is because the 5th one he's about to grab. Do you see? Originally, when they put this graphic together, there were 5 at the bottom. I said, you can't have 5 because then there's 1 at the top and then there's 6. So anyway, that's why that coin is the way it is. And then we came up with a fun holiday SANS gift word search cipher on the back of the coin, but I have omitted some of the cipher here, so you can't solve it unless you earn one of these coins, just like our Kringle concierges did. And a special mention again goes to Andy Smith, because he does such a great job. He put this video together about a year and a half ago now, that orients our Kringle concierges so that they can orient everyone else. So thank you, Andy, for letting us continue to use that great piece of work. And thank you again to all these Kringle concierges who work so tirelessly on this. Also, I'd like to thank our KringleCon speakers. Just a great group of folks that delivered really fascinating information here. We are honored to be able to host you at the North Pole. Santa was delighted with all that you presented and taught people, so thank you. I won't read each individual name because we're trying to keep this presentation focused and moving along. But again,
okay.
every single one of these.
There's people missing off of there.
Oh, there are?
No, you the second page, you got them all.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, I got them all. Yeah, this is a build here, Tom. It's a build.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm building. Also, thank you to our volunteers. I mean, so many people, worked on the website, the layout, social media, swag design. We had our musicians, we had artists, we had a voice artist. That creepy sound of the gate opening, that was the voice this year. R&D done by Professor Cordy Petabyte, and testing and feedback from so many different people. It's just spectacular. So thank you to everyone who contributed so much to this effort. Also, the Counter Hack crew. Our team is growing here, as you can see. People work super hard on this. Greg Bailey, Evan Booth. I'll read these names because they did such great stuff. Patrick Chapman, Chris Davis, Chris Elgie, the Chris's as we call them, Jared Folkens, Tom Hessman, Melissa Joyner, Tom Liston, Kevin McFarland, Eric Pursley, Lynn Schifano, little old me, and then Josh Wright, our supporter and spirit guide. And you're saying, gosh, these people are so good looking. I wish I could see a picture of them all. There you go. This was a photo that I took a screenshot during our annual holiday party for the team as we close down for the holidays. So you could see Evan reaching for his blowtorch as the photo is being taken, as one does.
It's handy.
So what a team. I'm so proud of these folks. And doesn't LG just look pleasant there? You guys all look great. The Santa hats are a great touch. Nice. All right, the story behind KringleCon 5 Golden Rings. Well, there was this year's story continued building off of last year's story. If you didn't notice, the Frost Tower was actually a rocket ship that launched into space, so we got rid of Jack Frost. This year there was a giant snowstorm that buried the front door to Santa's castle. Unfortunately, around the same time that happened, the rings of power that Santa had used in his treasure went missing. So you had to get into the game. You create a wallet for some cryptocurrency called Kringle Coin. The elves had started digging down into the ground, and as you start going into this tunnel system underground, did you notice the change in colors? It starts out and everything is sort of frosty white and blue. This is something I asked Evan for last year around March, I think it was. Hey, Evan, I want the colors to change as you descend. So it starts out with white and blue, and then you go down a little further and it gets sort of gray and brown, and you go even a little further and it gets sort of brown and maybe a little yellow and then orange and then red as you descend down into the depths of the burning ring of fire. But on your way, you'll notice some strange creatures that greet you. These are our flobbits. The flobbits, as it turns out, are actually of a similar people group to the elves. We learned in Holiday Hack 2017 that the Munchkins of Oz are actually just a variation of the elves at the North Pole, and they almost went to war. We found out last year that the trolls were another similar people group, all descended from the same family tree. This year, we found that there was another group that was descended from the same family tree, and that would be the Flobbits. Now, there was one Flobbit who was kind of twisted and deformed. You found that out at the end of the game, and that was Grincham. Grincham stole the 5 rings, and you had to recover the rings. And when you did so, Grincham returned back to his Flobbit form. But to get there, you had to continue digging down and find another people group, again, descended from the same tree. These more on the troll side of the tree. These would be the Sporks. Are you following me here? You've got Santa's elves, you've got the Munchkins, you've got the trolls from last year. This year, you've got the Flobbits and the Sporks. What's coming next year? Just wait and see. Oh, and you can buy hats this year. So we have an in-game economy. Tom Liston's going to talk about that in a little bit more detail. So you could buy hats. Evan's going to go over which were the most popular hats. We've got NFTs, non-fungible tokens that you had to hack and get in on the sporks, nasty, nefarious plans so that you could help return the rings and turn Grincham back into Smilegum. That was our storyline for this year. Thank you, team, for implementing that storyline where you start out at the top of the world and descend into the depths. All right. So with that said, my 9 minutes are done. We're going to turn it over to Chris Elgie. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elgie.
Good day to you all from around the world. We have people in lots of time zones. So welcome. I'm Chris, and we can go to the next slide. I want to talk just some about the challenges and how they were organized and how they were built. I won't go into a lot of great detail like Tom will probably, but at least give you an idea of our mode of thinking as we built everything. So first here you see, of course, the 5 golden rings, each of them with a different design, beautifully done by our own Evan Booth, representing things like the Tolkien ring. It looks kind of like an old school token ring network, right? Or a little bit of XSS testing on that top center ring. And I'm told actually, if you bribe Evan, he'll tell you what the lower left ring says. But here's the concept, right? We want it broken into these different types of technologies that these are more or less put into these cans we put them into, right? Whether it's network stuff or general cloud things for the cloud ring. So on the next slide, we also put a lot of thought into what the difficulty spectrum should be. We want to have this accessible to everybody. So we want to have some simpler challenges. There's one there where you log into AWS from the command line, and we give you the credentials you need to use, and we tell you which commands to check, and hopefully that's the kind of challenge that pretty much everybody can sink their teeth into. At the other end, we also want to really challenge our top participants. We aim for this goal, and I don't know which came first. If we found that it was 3%, or if we decided we wanted to get to 3%, but we generally aim for a goal of about 3% of the players being able to finish everything, and we land there just about every year. So, but we always learn things ourselves too, right? Like we jumped a couple slides there.
Sorry, my bad.
A couple of our challenges, we aimed for them to be like 3 or 4 out of 5 Christmas trees, and they ended up being a lot harder than we expected. So, for example, the fountain gave a lot of people more trouble than we expected. I think in part because one of the key hints for it, you only got if you finished all 6 of the locks on the door to get into that space. So we're learning, and we add and kind of build out the hints some. And and Glamterial's face will haunt you for years. Yeah, that actually is. We'll get to that in just a few slides about the beautiful face there of Glamterial. So that on the next slide, for one thing we wanted to change a little bit too, or I guess add more options for, is how players interact with some of the assets. So where traditionally for a PCAP challenge, we would just have it in a terminal and say, hey, you've got TCP dump, you've got T-Shark, that's it. We wanted to again make it more accessible to more players and allow you to do this challenge in particular either online or offline. So you can download the PCAP and check it out in Wireshark if that's the skill you're working on, or if you want to do it right from the console, that's available for you as well. And on the next, cloud assets. We dug deep into cloud this year because we think it's important. Also because we think it was really cool that we could basically emulate AWS on Google Cloud, and that's fun. So Chris Davis did a great job building these out and making it so that it feels like you're in real AWS, and it works just like the real AWS CLI. So you're learning those real skills, but we don't actually have to expose real cloud assets. And last, we have the web ring. So yeah, so this gave some trouble here. The locks. I love this challenge. I'm always excited to see what Evan's going to come up with, and he did not disappoint. Right, he's got this neat thing where you gotta match these colors across the squares there to go from one to the next, and I think equally interesting there were the wacky solutions people came up with. They're all different. People answered it all different ways. The first one, there was actually in the source code of the page, you could view source and see that string there that we've got in the screenshot, and that would solve the first one. But people weren't content with that, right? We saw all kinds of different things put in that first square to solve it different ways. So, but like we said, the key hint for the fountain came from solving all 6 locks, and a good number of you did that. So congrats to those who were able to. So on the next slide, so you may have noticed too in the credits there are some repeat last names. You see, for example, there are a number of LGs. So when you're on the fountain, the background is done by my son Josh LG. The fairy herself, the beautiful fairy, was done by our little Anna there. She's pictured enjoying the glory of her art being displayed for all to see. And also in the soundtrack, you might notice there's someone named Josh Scotus, who's related to somebody else in this webcast, who does some of our absolute best music. Some of our fan favorite songs come from Josh Scotus. So as much as we want players to attack this, to play with this, in a family context, understand that we build it the same way, right? We try to involve our families as much as we can, because that's important. We love them, right? So with that, I believe that's my last slide. We'll pass it
Thank
along.
you, Chris. That was spectacular. Just and I did include a picture per your request of Josh Scotus playing his guitar at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park, New Jersey. I couldn't find one where you could actually see his face though while he's playing the guitar. That's kind of his thing. But your daughter's just beautiful, and it's great to see her face. So, all right, hey, Mr. Listen, you about ready to go?
In-game economy, sure, let's do it.
Awesome. Here you go.
All right, so you can just flip to the next slide if you want to. So
I will, old retired dude.
okay, I'm the old retired dude. So an Ethereum blockchain, Holiday Hack 2022 saw the creation of the North Pole's first cryptocurrency, Kringle Coin. This was something that got tossed out way back in January of last year as a potential goal. So we got it working. So flip to the next slide if you would. So ERC20 tokens, the Kringle coins are ERC20 tokens. They're created following using an Ethereum smart contract that follows very specific guidelines. And the contract itself, which is written in a language called Solidity, runs as part of the Ethereum virtual machine. Every Kringle coin transaction was logged onto our private Ethereum blockchain that backed all of Holiday Hack 2022. So if you want to flip to the next slide. So, you know, Santa knows when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. Our blockchain knows everything else about Holiday Hack and what's going on, because all of the significant events that happened in Holiday Hack 2022 resulted in players getting Kringle coin. So if you solved a challenge, if you found a treasure chest, any of those kinds of things, you got Kringle coins, and the transaction that moved those Kringle coins into your wallet was logged on the blockchain. I wrote some Python code that pulled down all of the transactions from the start of our soft launch all the way through the end of our reporting due date. I then wrote some additional Python that turned all of it into a giant JSON blob that you can download. I have it on my GitHub page. You just go to GitHub and look for T-Listed, and you'll be able to find it that way. Transaction number 1 took place. It was Mr. LG doing a speed run of Holiday Hack when we first opened it up for soft launch. That took place on the 7th of December at 16:44:46 GMT. The final one, because we said reports were due before midnight on January 6th on any time zone on Earth, the last block I have in there is block number 109059, and that took place on the 7th of January about 10:49:43 GMT. All right, let's hop to the next slide. Some quick stats. There were 109,057 total blockchain transactions that took place during the course of KringleCon 2022. Santa gave away 949,855 Kringle coins to players who completed challenges. Additionally, players recovered 227,351 Kringle coins from treasure chests. They used those Kringle coins to purchase 2,163 hats from Santa's very cool vending machine, and 698 Board Spork Rowboat Society NFTs were purchased during that time frame. All right, let's hop to the next slide. I can pull out all kinds of interesting stuff using JQ in this JSON blob of the data that holds all of the blockchain transactions. So one of the questions I had was, what were the most popular hats that people purchased? Well, I was able to pull that out using the JQ that you can see in this thing. Number one, makes my heart feel good. It's the traditional red Santa hat. Now there are a whole lot of Viking hats in this list of the top 10 hats, and for that I blame Jared and Elf the Dwarf for the yes, there you go. I blame Jared and Elf the Dwarf for the proliferation of Viking hats in our top 10. Let's hop on to the next slide here. What other things can we find? Well, we had 6 different treasure chests in the game, and each of them had a different number of Kringle coins inside. And so I went through and pulled out all of the transactions to see which were the ones that were the most popular. Now, I don't have any idea how we numbered any of these chests or anything, but the one with 13 Kringle coins in it was the most popular one. Does anybody know which one that was? Any of you guys know that? Evan?
I can look it up.
Okay.
All right. Good question.
I think my guess is it's the one at the end of the speakers row there, where you just kind of go straight and run into it. I think that might be the one that was with 13 Kringle coins. The least popular one, or the hardest one for people to find, seemed to be the one with 15 Kringle coins in it, because only 863 people found that. My guess is that was that one that was way down in the burning ring of fire that was really hard to get to, because you had to go all over the place to get to it.
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at the next slide. Some peculiarities. What do we see some strange things that people did in the blockchain? Well, 350 times people approved a transaction to themselves. Now, that doesn't really do anything. But as Chris Alge pointed out to me when we were discussing this, I would have probably been disappointed if people hadn't tried doing that to see if they suddenly got some Kringle coin out of the deal. But 350 times people actually approved a Kringle coin transaction to themselves. Next slide, please. And finally, this happened. So there was a very particular, odd looking NFT here. There was an NFT number 149, the Board Spork Rowboat Society NFTs. Clear down at the bottom of the burning ring of fire, you could find the Board Spork Rowboat Society. Perhaps it might have been modeled after some bored apes, I don't know, or something like that. But anyway, I might have taken one of the Board Spork Rowboat Society Spork NFTs and done a little bit of extra customization on it. You don't have your glasses handy, do you, Ed?
They're actually in the other bag. So
oh, okay, all right. Ed has a pair of sunglasses exactly like this, and he's got his fedora, which I actually took a photo of and put into this thing. Anyway, I may or may not have created this spork so that he had bore a striking resemblance to someone at CounterHack. And then someone may or may not have had a kind of a coveting sort. There you go. There we go. All right. You got the hat handy or not?
The hat's downstairs. I can't get that.
Okay, all right. We should have worked out this beforehand. Anyways, yes. Ed may have coveted this NFT just a little bit. So let's hop to the next slide. So an unnamed someone, that this spork was made to look like, may have struck a deal with the player who was the lucky player who happened to be the original purchaser of this NFT. And he may have come to me and said, I'd like to make this happen. And so the deal was this. For an unnamed amount of actual US currency, we won't get into that because it's really not important. And get this, 1 billion Kringle coins, the ownership of NFT number 149 changed hands, or changed wallets as the case may be. So if you look at block number 95370, you will see Santa transfer 1 billion Kringle coins to this player's wallet. And then block 95375, somehow or other, the ownership of the NFT changed to someone else's wallet. Now, flip to the next slide, if you would, please. This This functionality was not available to players, but if the boss says make something happen and you're the guy in charge of the blockchain, you write some code to make it happen. And so that's what came down. You can see it in the blockchain if you want to. It's kind of cool. We actually had an NFT swap. It traded from one player to another, from one wallet to another. And yeah, there we go. So next slide, please. So if you want to take a look, it's kind of interesting. I've just dug through this blob of all of the transactions and taken a look for various things. If you want to pull this JSON blob down, again, it's on my GitHub page, just tlisting on GitHub. Use it to spend some time sharpening up your JQ skills. That's what I did with it. I learned a lot about JQ when I was trying to pull information out of this JSON blob. You can find interesting statistics. You can follow your own progress. If you know what your wallet address is, you can search through this JSON blob very easily using JQ to find all of your progress as you went through Holiday Hack 2022. All right, and on the next slide. Thank you very much for participating. It was a blast. We had a great time this year watching everybody do everything, and the blockchain survived. That's that was the big question in all of this.
That's so awesome, Tom. Thank you for all that you've done for Holiday Hack over all of the years. Really, we would come up with some of the hardest ideas to implement. When I say we, it was often me, and I'd call Tom and say, hey Tommy, is there any chance you could do an FPGA thing for us? Or hey, why don't you implement blockchain into cryptocurrency? And Tom would take it all on and just do an incredible job with it. So we're thankful for that. You know, before launch, there's a little bit of a chat in Discord on this topic. Before launch, we were worried about whether the blockchain would be stable and have high enough performance to deal with over 16,000 players. And I remember before launch, like 2 days before launch, Jared called me and said, I think there's a 70 or 80% chance this will be successful, that this will work. Like, oh my goodness. Do we launch?
Hey, thanks, Jared.
Do we launch? So we ran a bunch of scripts and, you know, simulated traffic and stuff. And we made the call to say, yeah, let's try it and see what happens. But you'll notice when I was saying, you know, we often give Tom this stuff, and I was using a lot of past tense there. Tom officially retired as of December 31st, 2022. We congratulate him on that. He's going to continue to contribute to the cybersecurity community. He's got a lot of great projects he's been wanting to work on for years. But we also do seriously hope that he will participate in Holiday Hack Challenge 2023. A lot of fun stuff coming up there. But Tom, thank you for all your great years of service to the Holiday Hack community. All right, next up. Oh, Tom, there was actually a question before we move on to Jared. This is a very interesting question. I don't know if you saw it from Zendesk. Since HHC used a private blockchain for Kringlecoin, what would have been the ETH gas budget for the event if it had been on the main ETH blockchain? Do you have any sense of that, given the 100,000?
I can figure that out maybe before the end of the broadcast here.
Yeah, take a look.
Okay, let me see if I can figure it out.
Probably kind of expensive.
And we also been very expensive.
We wanted to have our own private one because we didn't want people to monetize Holiday Hack. We don't monetize Holiday Hack. We didn't want anybody else outside to start assigning values to these things and buying and selling stuff inside the game and outside the game. We were worried about that. So that's why we kind of limited and implemented our own private one. But now back to Jared Folkens. Jared, please take it away, sir.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. So my part of this is mainly the infrastructure, but I was allowed to do a couple challenges this year, one of them being the CI/CD challenge. And so in Christmas Breaking Bad Green, I wanted to break down for you how this is accomplished. There was a lot of technical questions and a lot of mystery and whimsy on how I made this happen. So for the next slide, I'll just talk quickly about our cloud. So we use Google Cloud. They are a sponsor. They are wonderful as far as a platform goes. I've used all three major platforms, Google, AWS, and Azure, to build different things at different scales. But on a personal note, I find that Google Cloud as a product feels the best. It's the CLI is well put together, and just the web front end is excellent. And so it makes it remarkably easy to kind of hand some of these screens and some of these admin panels to different people in our in our shop who might not be as skilled or tasked with this, but can accomplish things. So thanks to Google for that. We run this on the next slide here, Debian hosts. I lock those down pretty extensively. I remove a lot of binaries, but that said, something to keep in mind when you're making these things is that I do leverage the fact that we will routinely reset these. We will blow the host away, rebuild it from scratch using Santa Magic. And so it allows and alleviates a lot of those long-term concerns that some different organizations have to think about because they have hosts that are long-lived. For our cases, they're not that long-lived. We reset them like very often. So, and how we do this and what makes this possible is this pretty standard container technology now, Docker, and that will be on the next slide. We utilize Docker in two ways. One, it is our language for which developers in our shop at CounterHack will be able to describe a challenge, articulate the assets that are needed in a Docker file, and then ship that to operations. Without that, I could see things getting kludgy with everyone choosing a different subset of how they're going to communicate challenges, how they're going to articulate what the goal is. And then from the operations perspective, I use a lot of Docker Compose to just, in YAML, quickly define what this challenge operationally will look like, what the network will look like, what volumes are needed, and then to make that reproducible and easy. Docker is a wonderful technology for that. But that said, Docker does come with the challenge of, it wasn't really thought of, in my opinion, to be secure out of the box. It was very much a thing that developers were utilizing to ship repeatable builds. And so with that, this gets to a part of a project that we fork, and that's on the next slide, Weddy. These are the terminals that everyone lands in. We fork Weddy. It's an MIT-based project. We really do some horrible things to it as far as to make it work for us. And that said, it's remarkably successful. It allows players to drop into a terminal seamlessly and get that experience without having to take an ISO or a USB thumb drive or something like that and spin up an asset on a local device. And so it's very seamless for us. We're very pleased with it. But with that said, we tried an experiment this year, and this is where things get interesting. It's on the next slide, and this technology is called Firecracker. Firecracker is an open source project from, again, I think LG tied into this, AWS. We tied some different technologies across different players to make this happen. And this technology, from my perspective, as someone who's been doing this type of work for decades at this point, reminds me a lot of the old school days for me in my career of FreeBSD jails or Solaris zones. Those really were defined as constrained sandboxes. And what Firecracker does is it is a micro VM technology on top of KVM. But the value it adds for us is that it highly constrains the sandbox by how many interfaces it allows with the host system. So I can have a lot of confidence if I set this up correctly, that at the end of the day, I can allow each player potentially to get a micro VM, which gives me a lot more, as a challenge developer, a lot more functionality, but know that it's much harder to break out of. And so with that, on the next slide, let's start a diagram here, and I'll describe some of how this works. So first off, it starts with me, in this case for the CI/CD challenge, as the developer, and I'm sitting there on my local machine hacking away utilizing Docker. For CI/CD though, incredibly complex. There are 8 hosts inside this challenge alone, and each one has to have the volume pulled down, the image pulled down and committed to the repo using Git file system, which allows big files, but that's how I manage the state. And then I ship that back up to Git. And on the next slide, it shows from the operational side, again, in this case, this is me. I take that repo down and I build out this larger OCI image. And that's another wonderful thing about Firecracker is it's based on that specification, which Docker does also use. So it is, when I'm looking at newer technologies, I like it when things dovetail for me. Oh, we already use that. The folks at CounterHack, we already know how that works. This is interesting. How can we re-leverage that? And Ed knows a lot of my conversations for experiments are, hey, I'm using this over here on this side of our shop. but I'm thinking it might apply over here. And thinking like that is a force multiplier for a team. And as a team with many hats, it's super valuable for us. On the next slide, you can see from operations, after that's all packaged up, there are the containers inside this OCI image. And to give you context there, we ship that to the build server that's actually going to build everything out. And the result is, for some of our challenges, they're on the 300 megabyte side as far concerning size. But in this case, for CI/CD, it was 11.94 gigabytes in size, a massive thing that this is containing. And I think people ended up feeling that. So when we click to the next slide of the diagram here, what you see is the build server distributes that out to a specific cluster just for CI/CD, just for that challenge. And what that allows is, that allows me to leverage a lot of the Google Cloud functionality. And something that I want to articulate to folks with any cloud technology, but especially Google, is you can feel from the operational side how many millions of dollars, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on just specific technology, especially in our case, the load balancer from Google. And so what that allows us to do is not have to hire FTE for that. We can just say, you know, the value they're giving us is all this research, all this development, and an easy way to hook into it. And that allowed us for the cluster, so I can route everyone to a specific backend host consistently. I can route you one way or a different way and make sure you get back there and scale everybody out horizontally, as well as if a host gets sick, boom, I can, you know, blow that host away, rebuild it really quick, put it back in the cluster, we're back in business. So the next part of this diagram starts with the player. So the player is at their terminal, at their laptop. They're having a great time with Holiday Hack. They click on the terminal for CI/CD, and where it takes them here is to the Google Load Balancer and to a specific node in the back end cluster. If you click on the final slide, I want to break down here. The final set of slides. I want to break down here. I apologize. That's good. Keep one more over, so keep going forward. Yep. What we're doing here is we're looking at a specific node. So the player has gone through the load balancer, landed on a specific host in the back. Now what happens? Well, this is the Debian host. If you click next for me, Firecracker in the back, just for you, just for this challenge, spins up a micro VM. You've got this wonderful thing building up. And again, something remarkably different with Firecracker and KVM versus Docker in this context is we have a full init system, right? You can init as the system, the micro VM boots up rapidly, a bunch of hooks to actually invoke all the subsystems. So from there, the next slide shows that in this case, 8 Docker containers spin up. I think 8 or 9 Docker containers spin up behind the scenes. And one of them is crucially important. One of them is your landing target. And what I do to optimize in this context is I try to get that host spun up as quickly as possible and get you there, get you logged in. And one slide forward here shows you a representation of the Weddy landing page, right? Some of you remember this, you can see that the attempts are trying to connect you to that landing target. It's trying, waiting for that target to boot. Oh, it's available, land you there, get you into a terminal. And then behind the scenes, I'm booting up different systems with that init system at the same time in parallel. So I want to get you into the target as quickly as possible. That is one area of improvement that I want to think about next year for this powerful technology, is how to get you in quicker. I know trying to communicate, hey, this could take 5 minutes. It tended to be the question of the day for the first week or so, maybe even 2 weeks, trying to resolve that. But I would argue, and I think everybody saw, that the value for our players was high. You were in a highly constrained, personalized sandbox with this network that felt like a real attack, that you were inside and somebody's actual infrastructure. And I just loved that. I know players did too. There was so much glory going around that it was wonderful. And so for the final slide, I just want to say thanks to everyone for all the glory. And as a side comment, something that technical folks like myself who are just down in the trenches don't often get to do is use the artistic side. And as Elf and Tiwas were a wonderful experimentation for me to kind of showcase that talent as part of the stack that I have. But also I knew it was going to be a winner when my kids, I could hear them around my house. And as I was recording this, and I would hear, glory, glory, glory. Every glory from all the house was going throughout. So thanks everyone for playing the game. Thanks for giving your time. Thanks for all the contributors. Thanks to SANS, thanks to Google and all the sponsors. And just, I'll hand it back to Ed.
That was awesome. Thank you, Jared. Thank you for the amazing wizardry you wield. Just really awesome. Glorious, you could say. All right. So now we've got stats and even more wizardry from Evan Booth. You ready to go, Evan?
I'm ready.
Show us how it's done.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm very excited to show you some stats from Holiday Hack Challenge 2022. We had over 16,000 players come out this year, which is fantastic. And 62% of those were brand new accounts, which is really exciting. And we invited you to capture rings, and capture rings you did. In fact, you captured 7,761 of them. And here is a breakdown of the number of rings captured as a percentage of players. And this slide is the individual rings broken down by the percentage of players that captured them. And if you got through all that, 622 of you made it to the very end, captured all 5 rings, and saved the day. That's 3.8%. Now, just 14 hours and 36 minutes after we launched, Santa Helper was the first clear, which is a very impressive time. 14 hours and 24 minutes later, GitHub crossed the finish line. Very nice. And then we had Pedro Cabral coming in third, just 25 hours and 7 minutes later. Now, much of Holiday Hack took place underground this year, and that included an underground river. And we invited players to take a short boat ride over to the house of a local elf to help with some challenges. And collectively, you paddled 255.8 miles, which is pretty crazy. And if you were to take turns paddling, one could get from Fort Myers, Florida, all the way down to Havana. Now, give yourselves a round of applause. You also talked to a dead bird. That was 1,443 of you, which is interesting. But you talked to some living people too, which is nice. You shared 10,177 messages on Discord, and we created challenges or channels for each of the challenges. And so here is where you did most of your talking. And I took the liberty of running a sentiment analysis on all the messages. And here's a breakdown of generally positive comments versus generally negative comments for each channel. And after I did this, I did my own analysis of my own sentiment. I felt pretty nerdy. So speaking of emojis, you shared 60 Santa emojis and 45 Kringle coins. You shared 44 classic homers and 631 glories. So good job, everybody. That's a lot. That's a lot of glory. Tom Liston mentioned that you could spend your Kringle coins, which you earn by completing challenges or finding them in chests, in our hat vending machine this year, and purchase hats and then don them. You purchased, as of the 7th, I think, 2,180 of those. And far and away, the most popular was the classic Santa hat. No surprise there, but a steep departure from tradition. The second place was 60 of the Viking emergency broadcast color bar test hats. And in third place, which is slightly different than what I got from Tom Liston, we'll hash it out later, 43 of these classic baseball hats in a lovely floral pattern. Now, the biggest hat collection belonged to a username with a lot of Z's and Y's and G's in it that I can't pronounce, but there were 10 of them, and that's awesome. 1,865 of you found the chest that contained the Dimitri top hat. So good job. And as far as the most popular model was the Viking hat at 477, followed by the classic baseball cap at 271, and then the Santa hat at 220. Now, as far as the most popular colorway, we had 233 of these emergency color bar tests hats, followed by red, which at 214, which is Valentine's Day, Illuminati confirmed. And then gray is in the third place at 193. So at the end of the day, after challenges were completed and hats were bought and chests were opened and good fun was had and Christmas was saved, you submitted 234 reports. We read every single one of them and they were fantastic. And to tell you more about that, I will kick it back over to Mr. Ed Scotus.
Thank you, Evan. Wow, those are great stats. My favorite would be the number of people that talk to the dead bird, also known as Jason. Right? That was pretty awesome. So thank you. What fun. Cool, cool, cool. So let's talk winning entries. All right. We start with our honorable mentions. These are people that did a really solid job. And we'll be posting these later. It might take us a day or two to get them on the SANS website, but they'll be the honorable mentions. We also have super honorable mentions. But here's your honorable mentions, a great group of reports and entries from people who really did a solid job in solving the various challenges. But some people want a little above and beyond. Those earned the super honorable mentions. And here are those that earned the super honorable mentions. What do you get if you got an honorable mention or a super honorable mention? Well, you'll get a mention on the SANS website for Holiday Hack, and you get the feeling of satisfaction and pride that you earned this. In fact, I've seen many resumes that have been sent to me or others in this industry where they'll mention that they got a super honorable mention in Holiday Hack Challenge, 2020 or 2018 or 2015. I see LG smiling on that one. Yes, indeed. So congratulations to our honorable mentions. Congratulations to our super honorable mention earners. All right, let's continue. Random draw. We have 7 people who won random draw. I went to random.org and picked these folks at random. They will be getting the Holiday Hack Challenge t-shirt. So for Joe and Hamayan Hamanan, Jay Johnson, etc., we will be reaching out to you to get a mailing address so we know where to send your swag. By the way, that swag is still available. Remember, we don't make any money on that swag. We send people off to Teesprings, and you do the order, you pay them. They do all fulfillment. They do all that kind of stuff. We're thankful that they do that, but we don't get any money back from them because Holiday Hack is about giving back to the community. So you can still order that stuff. We leave that store up for you so you can order. We got cool stuff this year. We got the shirts, there's hoodies, there's a backpack, there's aprons, socks, all kinds of stuff over at those stores. All right, now let's get to the big prizes. Our most creative this year is going to Joel Tan. This is spectacular. We'll post the links up when they go on the SANS website. But what Joel did is he created this sort of storybook animation where the various elves are animated and ask Santa, you can see at the top of the screen, hey, tell us the story of what happened in Holiday Hack 2022 when, the 5 golden rings were stolen. And it goes scene after scene, and you can see the elves interacting with each other. But it's not just that animation. In addition to this, Joel also put videos in the solution. So you've got wrapped around the little animations, you've got a video of him solving the challenge, and it's just fantastic. So Joel, we appreciate it. You've done so well in Holiday Hack in previous years. This year, you have the most creative. The team was unanimous in selecting this one as the most creative. We'll have you do 4 months in NetWars Continuous, your choice of whether it's going to be core NetWars Continuous, which is multidisciplinary, or defer NetWars Continuous, whatever you'd like to build your skills and learn in. And that'll be for 4 months. Also, for runners-up here, and we'll send the runners-up a coin. So all the main winners will get a coin, right? So Joel Tan will send you one of the Kringle coins, and the runners-up will also get a coin. Brenda Van Rensburg did a wonderful magazine format for her entry here. It was just really lovely and fun and interesting to read. And so we'll send you a physical Kringle coin. And Dan O'Connor had an amazing video do you remember the Mackenzie brothers from the Great White North, and they would drink their Molson beer and such? This was all included in a video he had themed on this. It was bizarre. It was a little freaky and maybe even a bit scary, but awesome. So that will be a runner-up, and Dan will be sending you, along with Brenda, a coin for that. So congratulations. Our most creative winner, Joel Tan, and some spectacular runners-up there. Next, we have a tie. There were 2 people who did such great technical answers that we're going to give each of them, both of these 2 people, a NetWars Continuous subscription for 4 months. One that's really focused and just gives you the technical stuff you need to know is Mike Shirley. So Mike is our best technical answer this year, tied with another one coming up in just a minute. There's great details, nice network maps. It's very understandable. Congratulations to Mike Shirley. We'll be in touch. We'll also send you a coin, so you'll get that physical Kringle coin. And And also you're going to get that NetWars continuous subscription. Again, your choice as to whether it's core, multidisciplinary NetWars, or deeper NetWars. So I said this is a tie though. So Mike Shirley, great job. But tied for that great job is Jai Minton. Truly stunning work in this technical answer. So if you want to read, the official answers to this, and you want to see it in a creative format, please go back to Joel Tan's. Or if you want to read, just get me to the technical focus stuff here, read Jai Minton's or read Mike Shirley's results. But Jai did a great job. You can see he's got a little caricature of himself there on the front page of his submission, and then just a lot of details where he goes through point by point, just stunning work, stunning. And also we have a runner-up here, Nivedin Rajasakar, who had excellent maps and summaries. We'll send you a coin for your great work there, Nivedin, runner-up for best technical answer, and then our 2 ties. But now we get to our grand prize. And our grand prize winner has earned a SANS course, via on demand, or if you prefer taking it via live, we're open to doing that as well. So who is our big winner this year? Our best overall answer, our grand prize winner, who's going to get a free SANS on demand course, is David Forsyth, also known as 0xDF. This thing is incredible. You really should check this out. It's got a beautiful map in there. And it's a hybrid solution. See, sometimes we'll see people that do entirely video solutions. Sometimes we'll see people do write-ups. Sometimes we'll see people do animations like Joel Tan's. Joel Tan's was animation with video content. This was a traditional write-up in web form, but with beautiful videos that describe exactly what David did at each phase of this. That was really stellar and top-notch. But in addition to this, David included sections on exploring KringleCon, where he walked around the different floors and kind of showed you different things, but also ways that you could pull information out of the environment. In fact, he did an appendix called Hacking KringleCon. And this is the thing, when I looked at this, I was like, wow, this is spectacular, because he showed different ways to interact with a WebSocket, different ways to use various browser inspection tools to kind of see what was happening in the game. And one of the things that he wanted to show you how to do was to find where the surface area that you could explore is in each given room. And if you look at the main top surface of the game, what he did is he showed you how you could pull the information to see what areas were walkable so that you could find the shenanigans place behind Santa's castle. And then David decided, well, I want to be able to graphically illustrate this. So he took the walkable area, the area that wasn't blocked out, and he colored it. I'm sure he just randomly chose this color, yellow, and then superimposed it over the snow so you could see where you could walk on the surface by simply walking on the yellow snow. Anyway, I just thought that was pretty cool. One of the things that we have in Holiday Hack Challenge every year is the team always wants to put yellow snow in the game, and I always say no. So David brought his own yellow snow, BYOYS, bring your own yellow snow. But what a great job that you did on this, David. It was just an honor to read this, to watch your videos, I say inspirational because you inspired me, and I think you inspired many other people on this team with the incredible work that you've done here. So thank you, David. We'll be in touch. And I saw you chatting in the channel here on Discord. So everybody in Discord that's here with David, congratulate David and congratulate the other winners. I think some of them are here as well. So I think I saw Jai Minton over there too. So that's just awesome. Now there's some more. There's still some more. We, a few years ago, noticed that there was a team that won repeatedly. They called them, well, they work for an organization called ESNet. So one year they submitted an entry to us and they said, we don't want to win this year. We've already won. We still want to submit an entry because, we want to participate and play and such, but give a prize to someone else. And so we did that, but we created a special prize based on this team called the Extra Special Noteworthy Exemplary Trophy, the ESNet Award. And this is given to somebody who says, I want to participate, but I don't necessarily want to win. Or it's another designation, just, hey, this one is really good. It doesn't fall, or they've done something really interesting that doesn't fall into our technical winner category or our creative win category or our grand prize category. And this year, Thomas Buva sent in an entry for us that was just spectacular. I mean, really, really solid work. But Thomas said, hey, I won in previous years, so I don't want to win this year, but I just want to send my work to you so you can see what I've done. And it's really breathtaking. One of the things that Thomas does so well with is finding as many Easter eggs as possible that the team builds into the game. And one of the things that Evan built into the game, if you zoom out and look over sort of the masking that kind of illustrates the different layers underground, Evan put in a little smiley face and says, you are awesome. Several of our players found that. One of them that found it with style and put it on here was Thomas. So that's just really, really cool. And Thomas, you are awesome. And you are well deserving of the ESNet award this year. And for that, we're going to send you a Kringle coin, the physical Kringle coin. So you'll get one of those. But we also have one additional ESNet earner this year. So this is our first year we've ever had 2 ESNet winners. And this one is Jörg Schwarzwälder, who took the entire blockchain set of information, downloaded it. I know several of you have scraped our blockchain. It wasn't just Liston who scraped our blockchain. Many people have pulled all that data down and created a data lake and posted it on the internet. You could find this data lake available at the URL that I show you here, and you can explore the data. On the upper left-hand side, you could see when the players registered, because when you register, you go and you create a wallet. So he could see on a day-by-day basis the number of wallets that were created, because we put some money in your wallet, it goes on the blockchain, boom. So he gathered all that data and sent it back to us. Also, there's another option that you could start doing queries and such, searching the data lake. And here you can see achievements over time. And this is the number of achievements people made over time. This is just stunning, amazing work. So we're going to send you a coin, a physical coin, Jörg, for this really awesome idea of Santa's data lake. When you first submitted this entry in with the data lake, we were looking at it, it's like, where's he getting all this data from? And some people on the team was like, are we actually sharing that kind of data? And the truth is, it's all on the blockchain, right? The blockchain shows everything, and it's pretty amazing to see all this data and to play with it. So I want to put this slide up for a little while so you could maybe take a screenshot or something like that, so you can go to this URL and play with Jörg's data lake from Santa Claus.
Could I hop in real quick 1 second?
Yes, please, Tom.
To answer the question that was asked before, which
Yes.
was how much would this have cost us gas-wise and everything if we had run all of this on the real Ethereum blockchain based on today's prices for gas? It would have cost us a little bit north of $2 million to run this.
Wow.
The real
Thank
blockchain.
goodness we could do it private. Yes.
Yes.
So
if I'm doing the
$2 million
calculation correctly, but yes, I think that I'm doing the calculation correctly. And yeah.
So let me just say, so $2 million, if you consider how many hours you worked in 2022 on that, it's about $10 an hour.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
I think you put in about 200,000 hours last year on this, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, that is so good. Somebody wrote here, you should give a SANS course to the worst report too. That's the one that needs it the most. Duly noted. That's a good point. And somebody said, this firecracker thing, Jared, that you talked about, is that by Josh Turner? That's when that one came out. I'm not exactly sure, but
I'd have to go back. There's a couple people that are now. I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'll have to go look.
Well, cool. All right, so let's do our shameless tease here, and then we'll open it up for Q&A as long as the folks here want to answer things. So if you look back, in 2022 and 2023, go back in time. 2018 was KringleCon. We didn't know what we were doing. We put a virtual con at the North Pole, doing virtual cons before they were cool. We didn't have a subtitle. It was just KringleCon. 2019, it's like, well, let's do that again. So we came up with KringleCon 2. We called it Turtle Doves based on the song. This was Evan's idea, actually. KringleCon 2, Turtle Doves. Of course, in 2020, we did KringleCon 3, French Hens. 2021, we did KringleCon 4, Calling Birds. KringleCon 5 was a gimme, 5 golden rings. Obviously, it's going to be Tolkien related. So what is KringleCon 6 going to be? KringleCon 6, as you may have guessed, 6 geese a laying. But you're going to see some changes in 2023 for KringleCon 6. Santa's going to have a new place that he's doing his operations from, and he's going to have a brand new adversary this year. I think it's not going to be Grincham, because Grincham was already redeemed and turned into Smilegul. So that storyline is done, and Santa's actually packing up shop and is going to move to a different part of the world and do his operations next year. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. We have a lot of the storyline down. I've already got 5 or 6 songs songs that the musicians are working on. We're starting to brainstorm through different technologies we'd like to have in it. All kinds of fun stuff. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So KringleCon 6, Giselayan is coming your way. Second week of December, 2023. We are working on it now. So we'd like to thank you all. We'll open it up for questions here. Follow at KringleCon for details year round. And if you would, please fill out a survey for Holiday Hack 2022. This is based on your experience last year. It gives us ideas, tips, things to emphasize, things to de-emphasize. I created a tiny URL for it. It's HHC 2022 survey. If you would fill that out, it'll go directly to Chris Elgie, who will take all those answers and results and share them with the rest of the team. So that's what we wanted to share with you. And let's see. Do we have any questions, or is there anything anybody on the team here would like to add? If you have a question, you could put it into the Zoom Q&A thing. That would be great. Anything you folks would like to add here? Not all at once.
Yeah, I'll chip in.
Yeah,
I would say something to think about when developing challenges. And we do at times, I wanted to make a pitch. We do at times find external people who have submitted challenges that are interesting to us. But something to keep in mind is there's several different types, but one that's easy for us and easier to get traction on is the type where you're considering the state and localizing that state and keeping things very stateless. The extreme difference to my good friend Tom Liston would be a blockchain challenge where there is state flying left and right over the course of it. Loved all the challenges, but just from challenge development, something to consider when developing challenges is how much state is it going to use, and if it's going to use a lot of state, generally that's going to use a lot of resources from the team. But I think we pulled it off. I know Tom. Hats off to you. Hats off to you, sir. So there you go. That was some thoughts I had.
Hey, blockchain's nothing but state, man. It's
all state all the time.
It's all state all the time.
As we're implemented, it's like the whole game depends on this thing functioning. Oh, yeah. So Dan asked the winning videos and reports. We're going to host those at sans.org/holiday hack. But it might take a day or two for us to get the webmaster to put that stuff up there. So give us a day or two. All the honorable mentions, super honorable mentions, and winners' names will be there in a day or two. sans.org/holiday hack. Zendesk says, will the ELF programming challenge return in 2023? Perhaps. We've done that in the past. We talked about perhaps doing it this year. We've done different languages in the past. We've done JavaScript and Python, and there's a couple other languages we have up our sleeve and are thinking about it.
Solidity. Let's do that one. Ooh.
Oh yeah, there you go. But we have been talking about that. It might come back. It's a neat thing. Chris Davis has engineered that one in the past, and we may do another one like it. I'm guessing you're asking because you liked it and not because you dread it, right? How does one help with engineering these challenges? Asks BV. Well, I mean, we do a lot of the engineering here. Occasionally, we will reach out to friends of ours. Many of them are SANS instructors or SANS authors, but not all of them are, and ask them, can they help us out with a challenge? We'll commission a challenge or two. This year, all the challenges were built by the CounterHack team, I believe. I don't think we reached outside of the team this year. But, in the past, Kevin Tyers or James Line or, several other folks have built very specific challenges based on their unique areas of skill. So, we appreciate that, and we're thankful when our friends do help us out. This year, we're still the development process is underway, but when it comes to challenges, the whole team is going to be meeting this spring at an all hands offsite, and we will be going through the challenge inventory then and figuring out what we're going to do, because again, it takes us about 14 months to put one of these things together. So we are now in month 3. I think October is when I started working on the storyline for 2023, and we're like in month 3 or so on that now. So thank you. Anything else anybody wants to add? We did it on time, 102 slides. How about that?
Nice.
And well, there will be a reversing SANS challenge next year. Perhaps we'll see. Yes, SANS can be a complicated thing, but check out the SANS website, sans.org. There's a lot of stuff going on there. All right, thank you, folks. Hey, thank you so much to each of our speakers here. You provided such great insights, and it was just a delight. It's always a delight working with you. I liked what LG had to say about family. It's not only families with the same last names, although that is part of this, as LG pointed out, but we're all a family here, and we do feel like all the people who participate in the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge are part of the family too. So thank you for playing. You guys make it so much fun for all of us, and we look forward to seeing you with 6 Geese a-laying, second week of December, Holiday Hack Challenge, the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge 2023. Thank you. Bye.